My beloved child, there is a story unfolding around you that you never expected, and today, you are standing at the edge of a revelation that feels almost impossible to believe. Before we go any further, don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The reason you found this message today is not a coincidence. There is a detail hidden beneath the surface of your recent past, and when it finally comes to light, many things that once seemed confusing may suddenly make sense. Imagine this for a moment. Someone from your past, someone who once believed they knew everything about you, reached a point where questions became louder than answers. Time moved forward, seasons changed, and life continued, yet one thought remained in their mind. They wondered who you had become. They wondered what had changed. They wondered whether the version of you they remembered still existed, or whether they had lost sight of the real person long ago. What happened next was unexpected. A conversation began. Questions were asked. Curiosity grew stronger. And as those questions continued, one answer stood out above all the others. Not because it revealed a secret. Not because it exposed anything hidden. But because it challenged everything they thought they knew about you. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The strange part is that this story is not really about the past. It is about perception. It is about assumptions. It is about the way people create versions of others inside their minds and then spend years believing those versions are real. Your past connection carried a picture of you that may never have matched the truth. And now, for the first time, that picture is beginning to crack. As the questions continued, a surprising realization emerged. The person they remembered was incomplete. The image they carried was unfinished. The conclusions they once felt certain about were built on moments, emotions, and misunderstandings that never showed the whole story. And when that realization arrived, it did not bring satisfaction. It brought silence. Because sometimes the hardest truth to accept is not that someone changed. Sometimes the hardest truth is discovering that you never truly understood them in the first place. Think about that carefully. How many times have people looked at your life and assumed they knew your journey? How many times have they judged your choices without knowing your battles? How many times have they formed opinions based on fragments instead of facts? The answer may be greater than you realize. And this is where the story becomes even more powerful. The questions that began with curiosity slowly turned into reflection. Reflection turned into regret. Regret turned into awareness. Awareness turned into something far more emotional than anyone expected. Because they started remembering moments differently. Conversations that once seemed ordinary suddenly carried new meaning. Memories that felt unimportant suddenly felt significant. Words they ignored began echoing in their mind. And little by little, they started seeing a version of you they had never seen before. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Right now, there are people who still see you through an old lens. They see the person you were years ago. They see the mistakes you outgrew. They see the uncertainty you already left behind. But what they do not see is your growth. They do not see your resilience. They do not see the strength you built in silence while nobody was watching. And that is exactly why this moment matters. Because the truth has a way of reaching people eventually. Not through arguments. Not through explanations. Not through proving yourself. But through time. Time reveals character. Time reveals intentions. Time reveals authenticity. And when enough time passes, even those who doubted you are forced to confront what is real. The energy of this story shifts here. What began as curiosity transforms into realization. What began as looking backward starts pointing forward. Because the more they reflected, the more one question refused to disappear. What if they misunderstood you? That question grew stronger every day. What if your silence was strength? What if your distance was healing? What if your growth happened because you chose yourself when nobody else would? Those possibilities became impossible to ignore. And suddenly, the narrative changed. Instead of asking what happened to you, they started asking what they failed to see. That difference changes everything. Take a deep breath and listen closely. The next part of this story carries a message many people need to hear. You do not have to chase understanding. You do not have to convince everyone of your worth. You do not have to force people to recognize your value. The people meant to see your truth eventually will. And when they do, the realization often arrives far later than expected. That is why patience is powerful. That is why growth is powerful. That is why becoming your best self is more powerful than seeking validation. Because one day, the people who underestimated you are left wondering how they missed what was there all along. And that brings us to the moment nobody anticipated. A final observation emerged from all those questions and reflections. You are not the person they thought you were. You are far more complex. Far more resilient. Far more valuable. Far more unforgettable. And that realization landed with a weight that could not be ignored. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because in the next part, the story moves beyond questions and into revelations. What was discovered next did not simply change how they saw you. It changed how they saw the entire connection itself. The truth that surfaced was unexpected, emotional, and impossible to forget. And once that truth appeared, nothing looked the same anymore. A remarkable shift is about to be revealed, and what comes next may explain why this story has been building toward this very moment. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The deeper this journey goes, the more surprising it becomes. What started as a simple question did not end with a simple answer. Instead, it opened a door to a realization that nobody saw coming. As more thoughts surfaced, something unexpected happened. The focus moved away from assumptions and toward truth. The more they reflected on you, the more they began noticing a pattern. Every memory they revisited seemed different now. Every conversation carried a meaning they had missed before. Every moment they once dismissed suddenly appeared more important than ever. And that is where the shock truly began. Because they realized that while they had spent so much time wondering about your life, they had never stopped to consider the most important possibility of all. What if your greatest chapter started after they left? What if the version of you that exists today is stronger, wiser, calmer, and more confident than the person they once knew? That thought refused to leave their mind. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The more they reflected, the more one truth became impossible to ignore. You were never meant to remain the same. Growth was always part of your journey. Every challenge you faced shaped you. Every disappointment taught you something valuable. Every setback pushed you toward becoming someone greater. And suddenly, they started seeing evidence of that growth everywhere. The story became even more emotional because they could no longer hold on to the old image they had created. That image was fading. In its place stood a completely different understanding. A realization that perhaps they had underestimated your strength. A realization that perhaps they had overlooked your value. A realization that perhaps your silence had hidden a level of determination they never recognized. For a long time, they thought they understood your story. Now they were beginning to question everything. And when people start questioning their old beliefs, powerful things happen. New perspectives emerge. Hidden truths surface. Old conclusions fall apart. That is exactly what was happening here. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There was one memory in particular that kept returning to them. It seemed ordinary at first. Just another moment among many. Yet every time they replayed it in their mind, it felt different. They began noticing details they had ignored. They began hearing meaning in words they once overlooked. They began recognizing signs they had completely missed. And then came the realization. The person they remembered was only a fraction of who you truly are. The real you had always been deeper. The real you had always carried more strength. The real you had always possessed qualities that could not be measured by appearances or assumptions. That realization hit harder than expected. Because once someone sees the truth, they cannot unsee it. The story continued unfolding in a way nobody anticipated. Instead of finding certainty, they found mystery. Instead of finding answers, they discovered more questions. Instead of feeling closure, they felt curiosity growing stronger. Why? Because every new realization pointed toward something bigger. Something they had completely failed to understand before. You. Not the version they imagined. Not the version they remembered. But the person you actually became. That difference changed everything. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. At this point, the energy surrounding this story transformed completely. What once felt like looking backward suddenly felt like looking forward. The past no longer held the same power. The focus shifted toward possibilities. Toward growth. Toward the future that continues unfolding every single day. And this is where the revelation becomes truly powerful. Many people spend years waiting for others to recognize their worth. They wait for validation. They wait for apologies. They wait for acknowledgement. But the strongest people eventually discover something important. Their value was never dependent on someone else's recognition. Their worth existed all along. Their strength existed all along. Their future existed all along. The only thing that changed was awareness. And awareness changes everything. The more they thought about you, the clearer this became. You were not defined by what happened in the past. You were defined by how you continued moving forward. You were defined by your resilience. You were defined by your ability to keep growing. You were defined by your refusal to let difficult moments determine your future. That realization carried enormous weight. Because suddenly they understood something they had never understood before. You did not stop becoming. You kept evolving. And that journey transformed you into someone remarkable. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Right now, there is a reason this message found you. Perhaps you have been questioning your progress. Perhaps you have wondered whether your efforts matter. Perhaps you have wondered whether anyone notices how far you have come. The answer may surprise you. Growth always leaves evidence. Even when you cannot see it. Even when others cannot explain it. Even when nobody talks about it. The evidence exists. And eventually, people begin noticing. That is exactly what happened here. What began as curiosity turned into respect. What began as questions turned into admiration. What began as uncertainty turned into recognition. The transformation was undeniable. And the most surprising part? The story is not over. Because the realization that emerged next was even more powerful than everything that came before it. A final thought started taking shape. What if crossing paths with you was never meant to be forgotten? What if your impact lasted far longer than anyone expected? What if the lessons connected to you continued teaching people long after the chapter seemed finished? Those questions lingered. Those questions grew stronger. Those questions refused to disappear. And in the next part, a revelation emerges that changes the entire perspective of this journey. What is uncovered next connects the past, the present, and the future in a way that nobody anticipated. The truth waiting ahead is far bigger than a memory, far bigger than a question, and far bigger than a coincidence. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There is a detail hidden within this story that changes everything, and the moment it is revealed, the entire picture begins to look different. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Up until now, the journey has been about questions, memories, and realizations. But what comes next is the moment where those pieces begin fitting together in a way nobody expected. As the reflection continued, a surprising pattern emerged. Every path seemed to lead back to the same conclusion. No matter where the thought started, they always ended in the same place. You had become impossible to define by old assumptions. The person they once believed they knew no longer matched the reality standing before them. That realization was powerful. But what happened next was even more surprising. Instead of focusing on who you were, they started focusing on who you are becoming. Think about that for a moment. There is a huge difference between remembering someone's past and recognizing their future. Most people never make that transition. Most people stay attached to old versions of others. Most people refuse to see growth. But this time was different. Something shifted. And that shift changed everything. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The more they reflected, the more they noticed something remarkable. Every challenge you faced seemed to have strengthened you instead of stopping you. Every obstacle seemed to have taught you something valuable. Every difficult chapter seemed to have prepared you for something greater. That pattern could not be ignored. Because once someone notices resilience, they start seeing it everywhere. They see it in the way you carry yourself. They see it in the way you handle uncertainty. They see it in the way you continue moving forward even when nobody is cheering for you. And suddenly, the image they carried for so long started fading away completely. A new image replaced it. An image built on respect. An image built on growth. An image built on truth. That transformation happened slowly at first. Then all at once. And that is where this story becomes unforgettable. Because the next realization did not come from memory. It came from perspective. For the first time, they stopped asking what you had lost. And started asking what you had gained. That question opened a completely new chapter. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. What have you gained through your journey? Strength. Wisdom. Patience. Clarity. Confidence. The ability to keep moving forward when others would have given up. Those qualities cannot be purchased. Those qualities cannot be borrowed. Those qualities are earned. And the more they thought about that, the more one truth became impossible to ignore. You earned every step of your growth. Nobody handed it to you. Nobody created it for you. You built it yourself. That realization carried tremendous weight. Because suddenly they understood that your story was never about the past. Your story was always about transformation. And transformation leaves a lasting impact. The energy of this journey continues building because another unexpected thought appeared. What if the greatest thing about you was never what people noticed first? What if your most valuable qualities existed beneath the surface? What if the qualities that truly make you unforgettable are the ones most people overlook in the beginning? That possibility lingered. It stayed in their mind. It refused to disappear. Because deep down, they knew there was truth in it. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Many people are remembered for what they say. Others are remembered for what they do. But some people are remembered because of how they make others feel. Their presence leaves an impact. Their kindness leaves an impact. Their strength leaves an impact. Their authenticity leaves an impact. And long after conversations end, that impact remains. The more they reflected on the connection, the more they realized something important. Your impact lasted longer than expected. Far longer. Much longer than anyone imagined. That realization created a sense of wonder. Because it meant the story was never as simple as it once appeared. There were layers. There was meaning. There were lessons hidden inside moments that seemed ordinary at the time. And now those lessons were becoming visible. One by one. Piece by piece. The puzzle was coming together. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then came the moment that changed the direction of every thought. A realization emerged that connected everything. The questions. The memories. The reflections. The growth. The lessons. Everything pointed toward the same truth. You were never meant to stay where you started. You were always meant to evolve. You were always meant to become more. You were always meant to discover strengths that even you did not know existed. That truth carried incredible power. Because once you understand that growth is part of your purpose, setbacks lose their ability to define you. Mistakes lose their ability to control you. Doubts lose their ability to limit you. And suddenly the future looks much bigger than the past. That is exactly what happened here. The focus shifted. The perspective shifted. The understanding shifted. Everything changed. And what comes next may be the most surprising revelation of all. Because in the next part, a hidden truth rises to the surface. A realization so unexpected that it forces a complete reevaluation of everything that came before it. The connection between the past and the present becomes clearer than ever, and a message emerges that has been waiting to be discovered all along. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The biggest revelation is still ahead.